Hello, Gold Derbyites. Welcome back to another episode of Awards Magnet. You're listening to this on the morning after Oscar nominations. We woke up early ourselves on the morning of Oscar nominations, but we've had a little chance to digest what's happened. The day's gone on. We've let the dust settle. And so myself, Deputy Editor Ethan Alter, and Senior Editors Kevin Sullivan and Nia McNeese are here to share our thoughts. Now we've had a little time to let things sink in. Quite a morning, both. We were up early. How are you feeling at the end of a long day?
Definitely starting to hit me now, and I'm on to my third cup of coffee, but I think, we're making it through.
Yeah, it's always an exciting day. It emotionally, it's like 9 p.m. right now, so like that I'm still kind of dealing with, but this is great.
Right. Oscars. The Oscars are here. We have real
Yeah.
things to work with. Phase two
Exactly.
begins. Well, let's run through some of the big top line things from this morning for the people listening tomorrow morning. Obviously, Sinners was the big story of the day. It received a record-setting 16 nominations, breaking the previous records that were jointly held by a trio of movies. We also had 13 nominations for One Battle After Another, and then 9 nominations apiece for Frankenstein, Marty Supreme, and Sentimental Value. So that rounds out the top 5 most nominated movies, which is exciting to see. And then some other big awards getters. Hamlet received 8. Begonia got 4, and F1 was the was one of the surprises that popped there among the blockbusters, which got 4 nominations as well, including a Best Picture nod. So that's sort of the lay of it. And then obviously Kevin's beloved The Secret Agent also got 4. Showed up in Best Picture, Best Actor for Wagner Moura, and 2 other categories as well. So Brazil, congratulations. We one of these days we are all coming to you as we promised last week. We're gonna be there. We want to experience it firsthand.
I was in a live chat and on the YouTube nominations, just spamming the Brazilian flag with everybody else.
And I actually spoke to the casting director who was nominated, and he said it's like he compared it to like a soccer game over there. Like it was, the excitement was just crazy. People were so happy for the film and for everyone that got a nomination.
Absolutely. No, it's an exciting morning. It was fun to see and we'll get into some of the different surprises and the snubs that we also profiled on Gold Derby, and also some of the people we spoke with. We'll get into all that as well. But let's start first of all with the Sinners love. I mean, we're going into the morning. It was definitely seemed like a seesaw battle between whether One Battle or Sinners would be the one receiving the most nominations, and ultimately it went to Sinners. Either way, Warner Brothers is a big winner. they have both movies. They got 30 nominations overall, the most of any studio. So it's an embarrassment of riches for them. But were either of you surprised that Sinners wound up being the one that carried the morning in terms of nomination count anyway?
I don't know about in terms of count. I think it was the scale with which it dominated. What you really see those numbers kind of creeping up once you factor in the nominations in supporting categories. And I think those were between Delroy and Lindo and Mui Wasaku. Like it was a lot of hoping. We would love to see them in. But I think to see them both get in, Delroy especially, just really showed the amount of love that there is for that movie, and how dominant it was going to be. I think I saw someone had mentioned that, just to speak to the scope of of how well it did. If Sinners was nominated in literally every category it could have been nominated in. It only missed things that were outside of the categories in terms of documentary or shorts, and then there was no female lead, so it didn't get lead actress, obviously, but just a complete domination. And I think that is a wonderful thing to see. The theme of the movie, from how its origin story to how it's promoted, was really kind of rooted in this love of cinema and older technologies and just the legacy of storytelling. And I think it's just, as a film fan, it's really exciting to see that movie in particular be as successful as it has been in the year 2025 and 2026.
I agree. It kind of made me be like, wow, Academy, you guys are cool. Like, you get it. Like, way to go. I don't know. It just, like Kevin said, I mean, to get picture, director, actor, original screenplay, cinematography, casting, costume, film, editing, production. It was like score, song, every single thing. Just shows how much love there is for this film. I'm really, obviously Delroy is a great one, but I was also so happy for Michael B. Jordan to get His first nomination, like such a great actor, and this film was like such a well-deserved performance for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And to give the achievement its proper flowers, so 16 nominations, broke the previous record of 14 for film, and that was jointly held by All About Eve, which was the first to achieve that in 1950, Titanic, which achieved that in 1997, and then La La Land in 2016. So this is on the 10 years since La La Land, and now we have a new record setter. So that's very, very cool for Sinners. A nice little flower in its cap for sure.
We're getting to the point where that record is going to be difficult to beat, because I mean, like, Sinners could have gotten another song nomination, but we're kind of reaching the upper limit of what's technically possible, which is very exciting.
Absolutely. Well, what's going to be interesting now to look forward to, speaking of the one battle of it all, because they are owned by the same studio, being released by the same studio, so far they've managed to, Warner Bros. Has been able to split the difference at some of these awards shows, like most memorably the Golden Globes, where they were divided by category. Now it's the end game. They really are going to have to go head to head in this home stretch. It's going to be very interesting to see how these two films navigate that, because both are very well liked and all the casts are very well liked. The studio's going to have to decide, or maybe they're going to be able to still balance them well. But they are now definitely in direct competition. So it'll be very interesting to see how that factors into the next phase 2 of campaigning, and then on Oscar night as well, how they choose to shake out with awards, for sure.
I'm sure that's a problem they welcome. It's an embarrassment of riches, right? It's like if you got 2 great job offers, I mean, it's something you really, no matter what happens, you can still be happy at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been interesting. We have a lot of time to talk over odds and how the race may shift and everything. And so it's still early on our prediction center, so we don't have quite a firm data in yet. Obviously, most people are still assuming one battle is going to win Best Picture, most likely Best Director. I'm actually starting to think maybe this is the beginnings of the split, the Best Picture, Best Director split, where Coogler gets Best Director, one battle gets Best Picture. That's what I'm fighting early on here. Is that sense maybe we're headed for a split as opposed to one film dominating. But again, lots of road left to travel. That's something I'm thinking about. One way they can possibly honor both of these two.
Yeah, the sheer amount of nominations makes Sinners really, really hard to ignore as a potential. I think Best Picture winner. I could see this. I could see this split. I mean, because a big part of the narrative around One Battle is about Paul Thomas Anderson being overdue. This is his year. So does he get singled out for an award while the more nominated film takes Best Picture? It could go either way. But One Battle's had a really great run of Best Picture wins, so it feels like a toss up right now.
Absolutely. And that'll be part of the campaign. The next phase, they'll figure it out as they sort through it. On the snub side, certainly the biggest snub of the morning, and we called it out in a lot of our coverage, is just the complete absence of Wicked for Good from anything. I still was a Wicked dead ender. I thought somehow it would factor in somewhere. Couldn't be ignored. Second half of this huge phenomenon that the first part was, but no, it came up completely with Bupkis and complete zero. So I have to admit, I am still shocked that it didn't even get a costume nomination or something along those lines. Did you expect it to show up somewhere, even if it's not necessarily the Best Picture race?
Yeah, I think, the hum got a little quieter as we were getting closer to the nomination. So I wasn't expecting huge, but I was expecting costume, as you said, Ethan, and I was expecting Ariana as well. So I think those two, they we're still kind of the front runners for that. But I do think the noise was kind of dying down the closer as more awards came out and Guild nominations came out. So I'm surprised, but not completely shocked.
Yeah, second act issues for sure, not just in the musical, but in the awards campaigns. Yeah, I think a full shutout did seem, I think, beyond even what the expected backlash might have been. You see, I think a lot of people talking about Ariana right up into the end as a supporting actress contender, talk about whether, 2 sentimental value nominations would make sense and, would that leave room for, and we saw how that shook out. But yeah, Paul Tazewell in costume is pretty surprising. There were some beautiful gowns. I think we can all agree. But yeah, it seems like the distaste for that really just was kind of blanketing the whole conversation as far as voters were concerned.
Well, I'm just glad you were kind enough, Kevin, last week to praise my second half of my prediction I made way back when, which is that either Cynthia and Ariana both get nominated and win, or neither does. So at least the back half, my addendum to that prediction did come
Is
true.
this a W in the column? Is this a W for
on the back for that?
Incredibly right and incredibly wrong at the same time.
Right.
I think that
I'll
evens
take it.
out.
I'll split the difference. And then obviously the other movie that didn't get in that we thought maybe was Avatar: Fire and Ash. This is the first Avatar movie not to get a Best Picture nomination. It did wind up getting 2, including one for visual effects. So it is in the mix, but the third time was not the charm for Avatar. Instead, even last week I was thinking, okay, if Avatar doesn't happen, maybe it's F1, and F1 wound up getting that slot instead. So James Cameron was denied. It'll be interesting to see what impact that has on his plans for the next Avatar movies, for sure. But did the F1 thing catch you off guard? Were you surprised that F1 popped up in there at all?
That seemed to be kind of in the tea leaves, I think, as the weeks were the last week, I think, when it was closing in, there had been this kind of reflection about, how strong are the chances of international features getting into Best Picture? Like, would we see 3? With the inclusion of possibly it was just an accident into Best Picture. I think that last slot was kind of up in the air, and then you have F1, which was this movie that did really well, that has some of the players from Top Gun: Maverick coming back around in terms of director Joseph Kosinski and Jerry Bruckheimer. So you have it really nicely fitting into a mold of, we need one big, Hollywood blockbuster to get in there. And I didn't think that I didn't think it had risen to the level of that. I mean, it did seem like it was a likely outcome, but it was kind of held back for a lot of the conversation, just because it wasn't quite the sensation that some of its predecessors were, specifically Top Gun.
Yeah, I was surprised for the Best Picture. I'd been to some Q&As for the film and heard people talking about it. It seemed like the studio and the filmmakers were really promoting the sound and the editing of it all, which, they got, but the Best Picture of it all, I think, was a bit more of a surprise, especially considering the competition that they had to go up against to get that slot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it really does point to the sea change that we've seen about Oscar voters really moving away from the big studio blockbusters, which used to be the reliable thing. Those would be the ones that people looked at, and it would be something if an indie film got in instead. And we've now undergone the full sea change, and it is a mixture of smaller films, international films, and the blockbusters are the ones really competing for a spot, which is really interesting for someone who, growing up watching movies like Titanic or Lord of the Rings just sweep everything. And I'm a little of two minds about it, because I love that a film like Moonlight can win, or a film like Anora can win, but I also miss the days when a Titanic won. And I know just 2 years ago we had Oppenheimer, which was a big hit and seen as an artistic achievement, so those things are possible. But it does speak, I think, a little bit to maybe some of the disconnect that sometimes people feel between what voters are responding to and what actually people go to see in theater. So that is something interesting to think about in light of this year's nominations.
Yeah, it does feel like maybe I think some people being a little underwhelmed with the inclusion. Like I said, it fits the mold of a blockbuster to Best Picture kind of crossover, but maybe the field just wasn't as strong this year. I mean, if you were gonna try to include a more major studio release, I think there were possibly more interesting options out there, like Weapons in particular. But yeah, it is kind of a little bit of par for the course. I don't see it as a big contender. But the nod is the win here for F1, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And it will be interesting looking ahead to this year. Obviously, The Odyssey has already been seen as a big contender with Christopher Nolan coming back. I think that'll probably be one on the studio side. There'll be one to beat. And then Dune Part 3 at the end of the year. If the Academy only does nominate 2 commercial movies, those seem to be the ones early on now that we'll be looking at this time next year. Unless Masters of the Universe surprises. That Best Picture of the year 2027, Masters of the Universe.
Ethan, let us get to March. Please, you're jumping too far ahead for right. My brain is hurting now. We're talking about next year already. Oh my gosh.
I mean, but it does bear repeating that Jared Leto is Skeletor. I think that cannot be ignored as far as the 2026 Oscar conversation is considered. Maybe they throw them in there as a write-in for the
Okay, you
trailer.
guys
But
are getting loopy. I think you're gonna sleep.
Thank,
I don't know how we've gotten to this topic on our Oscars conversation right now.
thank you, Mia. Keep us on track. I appreciate it.
I'm gonna keep us back on track.
All right, let's loop back now to international films. So definitely, Sentimental Value is a big story of the morning. It got 9 nominations, which is huge. It's behind Amelia Perez last year, which set the record for a foreign language feature with 13 nominations. So it's behind that, but it's still a huge win for a small Scandinavian film that had made a huge impact here, but was really well received abroad and clearly reflects the voting global voting dynamic that's going on in the Academy right now. And certainly the big news is that all 4 of its ensemble was nominated in the acting awards, which is especially notable in light of the fact that SAG nominated none of them for the actor awards. So that discrepancy is certainly going to cast a light, I think, on SAG going forward. It's quite a striking discrepancy, and they'll be curious to see now, will any of them win in those categories. I think I definitely think Stellan Skarsgård, he's suddenly come back roaring for me in a big way after this morning, and I think potentially one of the 2 supporting actresses also has a good chance of sneaking in, given the love for that film is obviously reflected in its results here.
Yeah, I hope you guys watched the video they put out of them all accepting or finding out that they were nominated. It was very cute and, almost made me cry again. If the movie didn't make me cry, that pretty much did. So yeah, it was really moving to see the joy that they felt for the film. And I also spoke actually to Inga this morning about it, and she brought up such a good point of just, how this year is such a big year for international films in general, obviously their film, and just how important that is for people to see films from all over the world and not be scared of subtitles and be able to enjoy, just like different cultures and different people. And that's what cinema's for. And she was just thrilled for that reason in itself. And in addition to kind of, all the accolades they got.
Yeah, I mean, you really see. I think probably more this year than any. You've seen this transition in the Academy to a more international voting body. You have literally an international feature nominated in every single category, and I think as they were reading them, we saw Sentimental Value get into Best Editing, which was just like this kind of this moment. We're like, oh wow, this is a really serious contender to be making like that short list, which is really, you see your Best Picture nominations and then your Best Picture nominees, then maybe a more technical blockbuster, but to get into Best Editing and as you said, the 4 ensemble members, you really do see more of these films being embraced and the ones that are loved being embraced in a bigger way. And I think it's great. I think it reflects the modern media landscape of these. These things don't need distribution in theaters. The streaming has really completely erased the borders of these things. And so, yeah, you get a really great snapshot of the year, far more than what labor unions here doing their own awards are celebrating just based on who is in the union, who's not. And it's a great look for the Academy. I think it's an exciting development.
And Kevin, I give you credit for correctly calling the fading of It Was Just an Accident. That was another one that I really thought up until the end was going to factor in, because Neon has had such success turning Cannes Palme d'Or winners into Best Picture winners and even Best Director winner or Best Director nominees. And it had the fact of what's happening in Iran right now against the backdrop. It seemed like real world events are really pushing that film forward. But no, it wound up just getting 2, Best International Feature and Best Original Screenplay. So that definitely faded in the home stretch. And we wound up missing out on 3 Best Picture international nominees. It wound up just being 2, Sentimental Value and Secret Agent. So it's sad. Again, a film I really love, and I'm sorry to see it sort of fall off the charts there a little bit. But is there anything you can count for? You sort of spoke about it last week, why you thought it sort of faded in the home stretch. But is there anything else that occurred to you this morning while thinking about those results?
Yeah, I think to reiterate what I'd said before, I think you have Sentimental Value, which is just beloved in a really significant way among the Academy, and you can just see that from the categories that it's getting in. And then you have The Secret Agent, which is also a really complex and sprawling film that is a bit more accessible than It Was Just an Accident, which I do hope people go still seek it out. It is just a really wonderful movie. But I think when you get into the conversation about what's getting into Best Picture, you have a lot of different priorities that are entering these people's minds and as they're voting, and you have thinking along the lines of that what gets F1 in, we want representation of a big expensive American blockbuster getting in, and it's 10 slots becomes kind of a small number, and something is eventually going to fall to the wayside, but it's still highly decorated. I mean, to get Jafar Panahi into original screenplay, that's a real big coup, and I think you can see the writer's branch taste kind of laid out there. And best international feature, I think it's still a contender, but it's something that was going to miss, and I think you just have a lot more priorities to look at as a voter when you're considering Best Picture.
Me, in terms of some other big subs, obviously, when we were both attending the New York Film Festival, we were at screenings for Jay Kelly and House of Dynamite, which were two of Netflix's big fall Oscar hopes. Both of which came up empty this morning. Their two big movies were Frankenstein and Train Dreams. So were you surprised that Jay Kelly couldn't translate any of its A-list act talent into any of the acting nods there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not shocked again, but I do think, Adam Sandler was really trying for an Oscar nod for his role in the film. And I do think he has a lot of support in the community. And I do think it was a good performance. So I don't think I would have been shocked if he had gotten a nomination. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a mom answer, like, you did a great job, but everyone else also did a great job. Like, it's not really like Adam Sandler's performance. It's just that there was a really good, other group of people, and there's only 5 spots. So I think that's really what it came down to at the end of the day. Yeah.
That Uncut Gem snub gets worse every year now.
It's so true. They had their chance.
Yeah.
But, and House of Dynamite too. I know you were that film, and so just having that that just for whatever reason that just never seemed to catch fire. It's hard with that ensemble, but
I totally agree. I mean, I came out of that screening and I really thought that was a solid, good film. I thought Catherine Bigelow did a great job. I was really pushing for that film, and then that just kind of died down quickly too. So I'm actually not surprised I didn't get a nomination, because I think the talk and the hype around it kind of dwindled. But I think that was a really strong, interesting film. I'm not sure why it didn't, catch on as it did. Yeah. I mean, I think out of all the snubs, though, if we're going to go there already, the one I'm saddest about is definitely Paul Mescal for Hamnet. I mean, I just, as emotional as that film was, the tears did not start falling for me until he actually started crying in that film. I thought his performance was so good. And I know Jesse's getting all the attention that she deserves and the spotlight for it, but I was really sad to see him. I wish this category had 6, because I really do think that he deserves a nomination for that role.
Yeah. No, it is surprising. Those two have been so yoked together throughout. Whenever Jesse's been nominated, so has Paul. So it is interesting that at the very end here, she was the one who got the honors and not him. Yeah, it is, and that was a crowded category for sure. So, it still surprised me that he didn't make it to the finals. Kevin, what was your biggest snub of the morning? What's the one that jumped out to you?
I'm split kind of between two right now. I would have loved to see Jason Finity get in. If you're interested at all in the relative ages of these Best Actor and Best Actor nominees, I just did a huge deep dive on Gold Derby about the kind of average among the youngest subset of nominees, and there is a bias against younger nominees, and I think you can really see that with Chase here. She's just at the start of her career. I think there's probably a lot of feeling that there will be a chance to get her down the line. I think that movie, it does depend on that role. I would have loved to see her get in. I'm always now that I've done the research, I'm always gonna be rooting for a young performer to get in. But then I also nothing for No Other Choice. I think Park Chan-wook is a really, really important filmmaker. His full kind of powers on display here. It's not my favorite of his movies, but it's I think it deserved to be the conversation. And I think it was really just kind of a casualty of such a crowded international features field this year. And so yeah, you hate to see it, but still absolutely worth checking out if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, speaking of timely, I mean, the way that film deals with the questions of AI and certainly the workplace and everything, and No Other Choice is such a great encapsulation of that right now. So maybe it hit too close to home for people, and they just are like, "Oh no, I don't even want to think about this. Let's put this away and then focus on the dark family drama of sentimental value instead."
It's just gonna have to settle for Pulp Man of the Year, I guess. That's consolation prize, but what can you do?
There we go.
I agree about Chase too. I was sad not to see her. I think she did a great performance, but I agree, Kevin. It was, I think this is her first film. They think that she does have time. Although there were some younger actors that got in. I mean, we have Elle Fanning, under 30, Timothée Chalamet, Jacob Elordi. So it was a possibility. But again, I think she gave a great performance, but I do think, I guess it just wasn't her year.
And that actually kind of plays into my biggest surprise. I think a lot of people's surprise, which is Kate Hudson, was the one who wound up benefiting from Chase Infinity not qualifying. But in the end, I think we can sort of assume that she's the one who got the number 5 slot over Chase. And it was not something a lot of people expected. Song Sung Blue was not necessarily that well received critically. Commercially, it's done okay, but not great. But it definitely it clearly spoke to the voters who saw it. And I think more importantly, just Kate Hudson as a Hollywood figure really knew how to campaign. She ran a very smart campaign. She really put herself out there. When I went to the premiere here in New York, she had her parents, Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, there supporting her. So that she was working the phones a little bit in her campaign, but it paid off. I mean, and she is very good in the movie too. It's certainly it's a good performance in a movie that has its issues, but I think her getting a nomination 25 years after Almost Famous also feels like kismet and nice timing in a way. So that was one of those more nice surprises on Oscar morning, I think.
If we're talking surprises, I think it wasn't so much of a shocker, but it was, I think, really telling to look at the first set of Best Casting nominees. You look at those 5, and you see a really striking alignment with Best Director, with one exception being the Secret Agent. You spoke with Gabriel Dominguez, who got in, and it's a brand new award, the first one since 2002 when they added animated feature. And it's interesting to see how this body is considering something like casting. And I think you see it in the differences between I think directing and best casting, because all of them were Best Picture nominees. But you see the difference when I think you consider Sentimental Value and Secret Agent side by side. And Secret Agent just had the benefit of this really kind of sprawling cast of interesting faces. And I kind of, writing about this, developed the pet theory that the nomination for Secret Agent and Best Casting comes down to Donna Sebastiana, who, if people have seen The Secret Agent, is about 4 feet tall and a chain-smoking old lady. And she is a sensation. She's played by Dania Maria, is an amazing performance. I think could have been worthy of Best Supporting Actress if people were a little bit more fun with their votes. But I think I think considering what this category might be going forward, I think this is a little bit of hit where you see movies that really kind of find these out of the way, unexpected faces and filling out the frame. They're kind of who the Academy is looking at as the standouts in casting. I mean, of course, the prerequisite being you have to be good. These were all Best Picture nominees we're talking about, but yeah, the subtle differences here are very, very interesting.
Yeah, I think, and Gabriel, as you mentioned, when I spoke to Gabriel Dominguez, the casting director, for it, he did speak about, like, in the world where everyone's changing their face to try and be perfect, like, he was really looking for real faces, of interesting faces. Yes, he did cast some of the most, famous actors in Brazil, but also mixed in just some real world people that you would just see at the grocery store. And I think that really helped in the casting category, just that mix of everyone.
Any big surprise on your end, Mia? What was your big surprise of the morning?
Well, I think some of the ones that we've mentioned for sure. I was definitely surprised by Kate. I don't know if I was surprised, but I guess I could say I was pleasantly surprised by Ethan Hawke's nomination. I know it wasn't like he was not in the conversation or campaigning, but I was not 100% sure he was going to get it. And I was very excited that he finally did. I think, that role involves so much talking and it's so much on him. And he's had such a great career that I was pleasantly surprised to see that he did end up getting a nomination for it.
And you have the nomination for Best Original Screenplay for Blue Moon 2, which was also a pleasant surprise. The writer's branch loving a talky Richard Linklater movie, not beating the allegations. It's a great nomination. Robert Kaplow is the writer. I think a movie that is so much about the written word getting in, you do see some of the strengths of that branch as a voting body.
I did think up until the end and similarly, it was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay, that Train Dreams would really push Joel Edgerton in, that he would be the one that would benefit from all the love around that movie, because it is in the same way that Blue Moon is so much about Ethan Hawke, Train Dreams is so much about Joel Edgerton. So he was still my pick going up until the end, but happy to see Ethan Hawke in the mix. It's been I think he hasn't been nominated in quite a while. His last nomination was I believe for Before Sunset many years ago now. So it's good to see him back in the mix at the Oscars, for sure.
Ethan Hawke is a sneaky 5-time nominee because he's got 2 adapted screenplay nominations on top of, he was nominated in 2015 for Boyhood.
Thank you.
Yeah,
okay.
he is a highly decorated individual. But on Joel's a good point. I actually spoke with the Train Dreams director Clint Bentley this morning, and he was similarly bummed out. In the same breath as being very happy to have gotten a nomination for Best Adapted Screenplay and having directed a Best Picture nominee, he was a little disappointed. But I think he correctly points out that the love for that movie getting into Best Picture as a relatively smaller film, it is kind of this tacit endorsement of Joel, who is absolutely the center of that movie and the heart and soul of it, basically in every single frame. It's unfortunate, but I think Joel Edgerton will be okay.
Yes, so he will.
And I love that. I love that Ethan is now running, and so is Rose Byrne and they were both co-stars in Juliet Naked, which is a film that I loved. So they get to campaign and see each other and be together again. So that's kind of fun.
That's right. Yeah, they were sitting together at the New York Film Critics ceremony dinner that I went to the other week. I saw the next week, and it was very cool. I was like, all right, yeah, New York, proud New York Indiana tradition.
Yeah.
I saw someone point out that both Rose Byrne and Natalie Portman are nominated today. So a really big day for Attack of the Clones. Huge day. We all been waiting for more love for Attack of the Clones for the Academy, and so Padme and Dorme are both nominated for the absolute nerds out there.
Love it. There we go. Deep cuts. Let's give Ethan Hawke his proper. So as you said, he had adapted screenplay nominations, and then Training Day was his first supporting actor nomination, and then Boyhood was his second. So this is his first ever Best Actor nomination. So good morning for him for sure. My other big surprise, and this sort of parlays a little into snub, after having such an amazing year for anime releases in terms of topping the U.S. box office, like Demon Slayer and Chainsaw Man, movies like that, no anime was nominated at all in the Best Animated Feature category, which I was very sad about. Those two movies were always a little bit of a stretch because they're based on long-running TV shows and were sort of feature film spin-offs. So I can imagine voters being like, what am I watching? But there was a great anime release, Scarlet, that is coming out for general release in February. That was terrific, and I really wish it had gotten a nomination. But in a big year for anime, it feels to me like an oversight that none of those got into the animated feature race. But K-pop Demon Hunters is basically going to win that anyway, and that crosses cultures in being both Asian and American inspired. So we'll at least get some flavor of that from this year's winner.
Yeah, and that category is also a good example of you don't have to do well at the box office to get a nomination, with Elio getting in.
Yes.
I was going to say, who could you possibly be talking about?
I mean, I was happy for them, and that's great. They started with the Golden Globes, and now they did get an Oscar. So you can bounce back, guys. Even if you get if you have a bad weekend, you can have a good weekend, or you can have a good Thursday, whatever day it is. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
That's a break of a pretty serious drought that Pixar has had. I don't have the figures in front of me, but their track record, even within the category, has not been great as of late. So yeah, I think this is one they were probably really hoping for, and very happy that they got.
And besides most likely winning Best Animated Feature, K-pop also most likely has Best Song sewn up for Golden, which I'd be shocked if it lost. It would be that might be the night's biggest upset if Golden lost to anything else at this point in the race. But we'll see. It's possible. Train Dreams has Nick Cave behind it, so that's certainly a big song. And Sinners could also very much make an impact there. So it is possible, but I still feel like K-pop is golden on that front.
Don't tell Diane Warren. She's still trying, you guys. Come on.
Getting nominated for a song that you made for a documentary about you getting nominated and not winning is all time. That is incredible. I mean, you have to appreciate the hustle. That said, I stand by what I previously said. The only award I care about is Golden winning Best Song. I think EJ deserves an Oscar. And so I'm really, fingers crossed on that, but I'm sorry, Diane Warren. I don't think it's happening this time.
Also, it almost break the spell. I mean, this is the thing. It's just the constant stream of nominations every year. We can count on her being in the mix. I'm sure it's not fun for her, but it is something that it's an Oscar tradition that we look forward to. I think every year is the Diane Warren nomination.
I was just checking out. I misspoke about Pixar. It hasn't won in quite some time, but it has been racking up nominations pretty consistently, even for Elemental. But yeah, we're still kind of in a bit of a dark ages for that category, and shadow giant within it, Pixar.
Yeah, but they've got Toy Story 5 on deck this year. So if anyone's going to bring it back, it's Woody and Buzz. Those friends are gonna bring stuff back again. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, as Neil warned us. In fact, let's wrap it up now.
Please, I can't keep going next year. I'm like, oh my God.
I'm surprised I didn't incur the wrath with Attack of the Clones talk, but let's move on. Let's go. Let's get
Oh man, Attack of the Clones, Toy Story, everything old is new again. Masters of the Universe. That's what 2026 is. All right, but let's end it there for now. We'll be back with much more to talk about Oscars in the run up to the March 15th ceremony. Thanks for following along. I hope you've had you've recovered out there from your own Oscar morning, and look forward to more coverage coming out from Gold Derby over the next few weeks. Take care, and we'll be back next week in your feeds and in your ears. Talk then. Thanks for listening to Awards Magnet, Gold Derby podcast. Like what you heard? Leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Awards Magnet is produced by Andrew Merrill. Our logo is designed by Chelsea Sakura. Please like and subscribe to stay on top of all the awards news, and email us at awardsmagnet@goldderby.com.